r/AskReddit by Redmond Dts. People who forgave their spouses for cheating, why? I did, but he was already dead. I found out 8 years post-mortem he had an ongoing affair with my sister-in-law. But it gave me permission to move on. I was under the illusion we shared a great marriage. Never been cheated on, that I know of anyway, but my best friend told me it's cheaper than a divorce and fighting for my kids. If I'm still mad about it, when the kids are 18, I'll leave. Sad really. I did once, because she said it was a mistake, and she was really sorry. Then she did it again, and that was that. I took my husband back, because we had a 1-year-old, and after being separated for 6 months, he said he regretted it, and wanted us to try again. So I gave him a try. It all seemed fine, we even had a second child. But he cheated again with the same woman, and that was final straw. We just talked it out. We are a same-sex couple, and had a long relationship already. He was sorry. We did therapy for a few years, and made it through. We celebrated 44 years the other day. I feel like everyone has at least thought about it, or at least flirted or something, especially in a long relationship. Congrats on the 44 years. I was a sucker with no self-esteem. I did because my brain wouldn't accept that I should not love this person. Eventually, whatever chemicals in there wore off, and I left him. I found out I could never trust someone I knew was capable of lying to my face. I thought I loved him too much to break up with him. Turns out I was just afraid of change. Broke up a few months later. Best thing I ever did. Met my now husband shortly after, and we have a toddler and another baby on the way. My father-in-law cheated on my mother-in-law for my wife's entire childhood. Not sure why, but she never divorced him. Eventually, he got his shit together, and they got back together for a good 13 years. Then he did it again, and abandoned all of us for his mistress's family. Sometimes narcissists never change. Number 1, kids. We had a young family. I was terrified if we split she'd move them back to her hometown, which was across the country. Without kids, she would have been kicked to the curb. Number 2, her effort. I loved her, and she seemed shattered and very remorseful. I was distancing myself, but she was the one who was begging me. She walked into her affair partner's house and told his wife face to face. She went to therapy. If I had to even think of convincing her to stay with me, it would have been over. Number 3, her commitment. She signed a post-nup and showed me she wanted to stay for me and not my finances. She could have walked out the door with half of everything, but instead signed away the house and every penny I had, or would donate to her savings. It's been 23 years together and 17 years since the affair. It wasn't easy, and it raises its head at times, but staying was the right decision for me. Life isn't black and white. The fact adults still haven't learned this is astonishing. You can get past cheating without the cheated on being a simp. Reddit treats cheating in such a weird way. Everyone rightfully condemns it, but you'd swear Reddit thinks it is impossible to have a healthy relationship after cheating. Or that once a cheater always a cheater is an actual thing. I've been cheated on in most of my relationships. Almost always gave a second chance, but the older I got, the more I realized the mistake excuse doesn't work. It isn't a mistake or an accident. You quite literally have to go out of your way to cheat. There are a lot of decisions being made to get to that point. Plus, even if you forgive, it is always in the back of your head for the rest of the relationship, and I never want that lingering over me again. We haven't had to face it in our own marriage, but I'm an oldster and have seen enough of life to believe there are a lot of factors outside of the act of sleeping with someone else that impacts if the other partner can forgive. Because there is a world of difference between I slept with someone I met at the hotel on my work trip, and I've spent years building layers of deception to carry on an affair with one of your good friends. Oh, and the whole community knows about it except you. Both are cheating, but I've watched couples navigate both, and it's often not the act of cheating that's difficult to forgive, but the consistent decisions to lie and knowingly set your spouse up to be humiliated. Probably gonna get attacked for being brave here, but I was the cheater. It was stupid, I regretted it immediately. Came home crying and told her immediately. She was afraid of change, I think, but whatever the reason, she chose to forgive me and said as long as I always tell her, it's our battle to fight. She didn't trust me at first, but I deleted a lot of apps on my phone, got a full STD screening, installed a screen monitoring app for her, and signed up for a church group that helps men with sexual addiction. It took a while for her to trust me again. But it never happened again, and I'm proud of that. We didn't escape unscathed. We've had a dead bedroom for 3 years, and we've gone to a lot of couples therapy. But we are healing. Why did she forgive me? I'll honestly never know, but she says it's because she saw who I wanted to be and that it didn't match what happened, and largely because I told her immediately and she didn't have to find out later. For any men who struggle with even the idea of infidelity, get help. Willpower doesn't work. For any dishonest men trying to hide, either clean yourself up or just leave. She doesn't deserve this. No one does. The first time, I justified it. I didn't find proof of a physical affair, only sexting. We had a 13-month-old baby and I was a stay-at-home mom. I had no self-esteem, I felt isolated from everyone but him, and the good parts of the relationship were really good. He took care of me. Subsequent times, I never fully forgave him. It festered. I never trusted him again, and he proved me right at every turn. I was scared to leave. I had 2 babies, I was a stay-at-home mom, no one around me knew how bad the infidelity was. Everyone always sang his praises, how good he was to me, or what a good dad he was. I felt like no one else would ever want me, I was gross, and used and ugly. I channeled a lot of my energy into my kids. It hurt less, because my identity was less wife, and more mom. And the good times were so good. He took me to New York City, to eat at Le Bernardin and to see Chicago on Broadway. We went to Jamaica for my 30th birthday. He took me on a cruise, bought me a minivan, told me he loved me, became my whole social and emotional anchor. It was amazing, when it was good. I convinced myself the good outweighed the bad. Then when it didn't, I convinced myself that at least I was comfortable and he was providing for the family. Then when that stopped working, I finally gave up. It took me 10 years to give up. Divorce is finalized in April, and I move out then into my own house. I can't wait. I'll never forgive cheating again, and honestly, I can't see myself bothering to get married ever again. Because at the time I was in no position to leave. I had a small child. Lived on the opposite side of the country from my family. Ended up with some health problems that I'm glad I was still under his health insurance for. But when he cheated again a few years later, I was better able to say I was done. Although, because I wouldn't forgive him again, he ended everything before I could. I'm better off without him. Because we had a 4-month-old baby, and the thought of sharing custody made me sick. I couldn't stand the thought of ever having to be away from my baby, especially for a reason that was no fault of my own. It took a long time for the resentment to fade, but we were able to overcome it, and it never happened again. It's been almost 14 years. I stayed because I've been the cheater and had wished I had gotten a second chance. It never turned out great for me because it wasn't a mistake in decisions, it was a problem with character. The problem with cheating is that it isn't a single act. It's a series of small actions that eventually lead to the physical cheating, or even emotional. I've stayed with partners who have done that, and then I have been the one who did it. The hardest part is getting past the fact that the person committing the infidelity could have said no at any of the small decisions, and didn't. In the end, you just weren't important enough. Now there is true remorse, but most times people are just sorry that they got caught. That's all folks. Thank you for watching. If you like videos like this one, why not like and subscribe for more? Have a nice evening.